one of the other 3-0 teams out of the Swiss, or will it be the defending champions who continue on in this competition? We're moments away from finding out.
Man, I'm just hoping we get a Hacienda hardpoint that looks a lot like the last one. 250, 249, sign me up for some of that action. But this is the biggest point. Both teams are defending champions. One, the defending world champion. The other, the most recent champion at CDSI. Only one of the two will make it to Sunday. Let's get it on.
Well, I can tell you this much, Wolves are definitely aware of what a banger of a Hacienda ending can be. Let's not forget about that map one yesterday versus Team Vitality. 250 to 231 was the last time that they played this map mode combination. But it's a square up to say the least, so we'll have to see who's feeling hot on this day. Excited to see the consistency of Elevate.
Yeah, love the initial focus from Wolves, taking that battle up towards the top windows. Most important part about trying to get good time here on P1, which Wolves have shown that they can absolutely do, and they're starting to show that once again. Battle back though from Elevate, decent, as they're able to clear out the hard point, plus also win some of these window battles. Trying to jump back on in as one moment in time was pegged. That gets shut down, and we've got another 50-50 battle as Wolves will spawn over towards fence side.
It's a good spot to have for yourself in 20 seconds. It allows you to try to hit through the upper hallways and then maybe try to set up somebody inside of Lambo early, but you do have a couple players represented in blue. That is Elevate. Starting to push said upper hallways and already thinking about the rotation towards next at the same point in time. Yep. 19 to 12 is pretty standard when it comes out of P1 on Hacienda, but this rotation is where things might break off. Yeah,
and Elevate do a nice job here, I think, just controlling spawns through the majority of P1. Most importantly, as things start to move, they're spawning over towards well side and taking the quick route through lobby to contest the back spawns for Wolves, plus also try to win them in their own right. So these in battles, very important. Neon, he has not been as loud as he was last year. Definitely a key player that Wolves needed. He gets shut down over towards the elbow. That's enough for Elevate to lock the spawns and the hard one at the same time.
Yeah, where we haven't really seen much of Neon, Zai has been stepping up in a massive way for Wolves Esports. Already up to 11 eliminations, probably going to be the first on their team. And be able to get one of those operators might not come around until P3, but still hanging around the joint. Still have 30 seconds left to fight over here, and all of the trades are starting to go in the favor of Elevate. They do have a couple more players with some close spawns, but Wolves are maintaining presence over by the rocks.
Yeah, but it's just not enough to actually break on through. Zai is trying to get the claw into play, able to at least eliminate one inside the hard point, but only gets a second one that was at 1 HP, so really not super worthwhile. Kendi, your CDSI MVP, trying to work his way in with the War Machine. Shut down almost immediately, but there is enough damage dealt for Elevate to still work their way on in. Last members defined are on the corner, and as Zai drops, Elevate will at least be able to keep this hard point contested through the last of every second, and now a chance for Elevate to try to work their way over towards Patio for new.
You just have to make that expense worth it, especially with Zai throwing the claw into what was supposed to be P2. Previous to this, Neon actually pushed all the way over by the well side, and I do love the heads-up play from Kendi just to try to push for the back spawns here at Garden. Is able to get those. That means that Elevator in first.
Fight from the front, though. Rage is on. Yopi, Sparrow out. That's going to be decent. The little trade back and forth as him and King go to battle. And it will be won over by Elevate. Now trying to push forward is Yopi, just trying to put a little bit of a buffer in front of this hard point. Smoke contains the left side. Here comes the hit along the right. Susano, not sure of where he needs to get this claw into play. He's outside the picture, but as he steps into the winery, that's enough for once again Elevate to come with the proximal spawns and win the hard point again.
Susano with his claw. I mean, you are just walking straight into the meat grinder. 18 seconds. You feel like Wolves Esports are starting to get a little desperate on trying to hit for this back 15 seconds. Nobody's even trying to cut the middle of the map for the rotation. They are all aiming for the back 10 seconds, and Elevate still have the back spawns.
Yeah.
They can keep this contested so much easier. And Kendi, with the Hunter Killer drone, is going to be able to clean up 2 more, and Wolves are just too late to read the room to try to rotate towards new. They are down cataclysmically.
It is just as slow as we've kind of mentioned a couple of different times throughout this weekend. Kendi able to get here first, almost turns that into a double, but Shaken is able to at least allow a chance for Wolves to contest. But they need a win. They need it badly. Purifier out. That will clear out the smoke. A chance to maybe move in towards Shutters, as Neon also has the War Machine in play. That will clear everything from the front-hand side, and Elevate will have to reform, trying to work through this War Machine and Purifier combo.
In possession, Purifier gets shut down. Squeeze me, Yopi. Well, at least collect that 1 kill, but 2 more in response there. Zai King able to find a couple, but still got players nearby, just over by the boathouse. Wolves Esports holding on for this back 28 seconds would be a lot ahead of the second set.
And they just need their ARs to start waking up right now. I mean, flat out, you've got Zai putting up a good stat line, but Neon's only on 9. Whereas on the other side, you look at the AR players for the side of Elevate, they are all over the kill feed. So it's just been one of those things that Elevate are just controlling so much space so early that it doesn't give Wolves a chance to do too much at range. Finally a good moment here, but it comes at the cost of Zai's second claw. That is not bad at all. It will clean things up from the front. Scrap time goes the way of Wolves, so they'll bring this back to within 7 points, but still, the trend, the pattern's definitely favoring Elevate.
I mean, like, if you have one giant elephant in the lobby right now, it is Zai up to 26 kills, and you would think that that'd be something you could rally behind for Wolves, more space for their ARs to get in position to be able to lock down these lanes and deny Elevate for the routes that they're taking, but it's just not suggestive of what the scoreline currently is doing. Elevate, fundamentally strong. The rotations that they've been able to have for themselves within the first set just have Wolves lacking in the macro.
Yep. Kill feed again, favoring that of Elevate as we step back over towards B1. Yobi, good patience, able to clean out the topside windows. That takes his attention back to the hard point. Nice double out of him. This is a tough battle up top, but he's got good assistance. And wow, what a set of kills from Elevate. They are dominating the high ground. And again, just gives Elevate the continual numbers advantage, continuing to happen on both fronts. Down low on the hard point as well up top in the windows. Elevate looking really clean.
Split spawns are going to start occurring, though, from all the positional advantages that Elevate just previously held for themselves. And it might be an opportunity for Wolves to maybe try to collapse around P1. But most importantly, we just need to send somebody on rotation. That seems to be what they are starting to do. They do have those well spawns, so they're not exactly right next to the upcoming Lambo hardpoint. And that gives Elevate at least an opportunity to send a couple numbers that way as well.
Pred Missile also being called in by King. That will give them a lay of the land. Sparrow out for Yobi, trying to get some damage done from the front. Not connected with anything yet, but he sees the players dropping out over towards the water side. That's good for a double. Back over towards the Fennec. He's able to stay alive a little while longer. Klo waiting for help. Has the equalizers out. Knows that there's explosive tips inside with the Sparrow out, so he waits for his teammates to clear it, and then he finalizes the rest of the kills to allow Elevate to get a very convincing break. Still 40 seconds to fight.
Keeping head on a swivel, equalizer into as well. Klo's actually going to start pushing all the way out. The equalizer runs dry, but still is able to walk away with a lot of more positional advantage than what was previously held. Elevate's lead will continue to grow. 25 seconds strong.
Clean.
Even PJ holding the Purifier outside of the window hop will be good for a handful of more kills. In Wolves, desperation truly setting in. They have the well spawns. They have a couple players spawning over by the rock. There's 12 seconds remaining. Is it worth it to hit for this old time, then get the spawns for new?
Well, we're using War Machine as well. This Wolves team is just not showing the same decision-making that we really gave them credit for last year. I mean, that was as convincing of a break as we've seen all weekend long from Elevate. Wolves really feeling the pressure, committing a key operator usage into 10 seconds for the time, and now what happens? You're late to do. You don't have spawn control again. Sing is able to at least pop off a little bit in towards top office. Neon inside a winery, surprised, and Elevate will continue to spawn close.
But you shouldn't need to ask for such heroic moments out of a handful of players for Wolves when you are playing in a game of Hostia and a Hardpoint versus Elevate. It's just a little bit of a difference when it comes down to the macro that Elevate have been showing through the multitude of hardpoints we've had thus far. They still hold those close spawns, by the way. Wolves are not wanting to push all the way out. They do have a claw operated, though.
Yep, and that claw looking pretty decent. Shing still alive, by the way. He's been on quite a streak with the Purifier out. Now back over to the Fennec, and for some reason, Elevate, are we not calming his position? Loses ammunition, so that's enough for at least a trade to come through, but the Wolves still have help from the front, and they've been able to bring this back to within 20 points with still 15 to fight for at old.
And big P4 moment, but again, by way of heroics. As far as operators are concerned, nobody really close to getting them online. Don't have them currently. So this rotation is going to be the old tried and true. 5 seconds left to fight over, still being contested as well, but now only trailing by about 25 or some extra. But look at the heads-up play now coming through from Peg. Already over by Rocks, here by his Lonesome. The push is about to be coming through the upper halls.
Oh, and great awareness because his teammate in Shing spawns towards Boathouse, so he can turn his attention back over towards the open steps. Only finds one of the needed two, but Wolves quick to pick up on the trades. Elevate, now all of a sudden they're the ones spawning over towards Boathouse side. So again, it's just a little bit of a flip-flop, a teeter-totter of spawns back and forth. Who picks up on it fastest? Right now, Wolves, at the moment, with a double from Zai, have a little more clearance. But as soon as I say that, now Elevator hitting from the Lambo side. It's just, you gotta have your head on a swivel, and King's gonna be able to assist with the Sparrow out. Wolves looking decent here to start this last hill.
Split spawns coming through for Elevate, though. Got a couple players able to work up that pinch over by the Boathouse, and everybody from Wolves will drop. 25 seconds to fight over here towards the end of the second set, and Kendi loves it so much, he's going to pull out a War Machine.
Oh, and Yobi thought for a second he was about to just completely foil this hit from Wolves. But Kendi, the one that really puts this thing, without question, in the favor of Elevate with that War Machine. 12 seconds to fight for. Elevate starting to grow their lead as Klo creates space from the front. Should be over 190 for Elevate. Wolves trying to get themselves in a position to hit the scrap while also getting the high ground, and that helps as Peg finds a nice keen double.
So one player lurking, that was Yobi dealt with. It's just they try to hit for the last bit of junk time. But it is a steep ask for Wolves to come back from this far of a lead. They have definitely enough tools to be able to do it, including Peg, having at least that Pred missile and operator in the back pocket for them, plus Neon, need to be timely and showcase better operator usage here in this final set comparatively to what we've seen so far.
That's a massive Pred. It gets 2 on the hard point, and it actually forces Yopi into a weird spot to where the Sparrow doesn't really find much value. Klo from the low ground at bottom bar, only able to find damage, no kills coming through. Susano trying to commit his life into the hard point, but the smoke is making a mess of it. Elevate trying to follow up on this, but the kills continue to tilt in favor of Wolves. Yopi trying to assist, but once again, the high ground windows looking good for Wolves. Yes, they're down 60, but they're making the right plays and they're waking up big time in the map.
12 seconds remain. We really need to start seeing someone from Wolves starting to position themselves, maybe try to come through open staircase, but they're all just focused inside of the time. And Elevate are able to reap from such a benefit as well. It's going to force a north to south spawn on the right side of the mini-map, and at the end of P1, Elevate will clean house. That gives them the free rotation to new.
This is the game right here, but Wolves at least have 4 of their 5 operators to play with on this break. It has to be perfect. Purifier out early for PJ. He'll be responsible for water, trusting that his teammates can clean things up from the back. Neon doing what he can with the War Machine, has found a couple. That's enough to get Xing involved. That's now Zai in the mix. Okay, this is starting to work out. Wolves breaking from the front, but they costed them 3 of their 4 operators. The only thing left remaining is Peg and Elevator still spawning close.
Do you pull out the equalizer here?
Have to.
This 40 seconds is so vital. Immediately calls in, starts just running straight down driveway, is able to find himself too, and then turns his attention back inside of the Lambo garage. And that is a clean sweep coming through for Wolves as far as kills are concerned. Can they continue to hold? Can they continue to keep them trapped on this side of the map and get a rotation to new as well?
Peg is just running circles. He's just going in and out of garage. Running laps around him. The follow-up from King is good. 14 seconds of scrap time, looking decent for Wolves. Elevator committing to the scrap time. They're not rotating over because they still have well spawn, but someone has to make the move on spawn to go. Wolves are still winning every single gunfight. Now on rotation is Zai. He's going to take a bit of a 50-50 battle on the backside. Wolves should spawn close as Elevate hold the lead.
They will get those back off his spawns, but now you just have to clean them out. Pred missile going to be called in there from King. Doesn't find anything besides PJ, but it needs to be the space to work for this pinch as well from Xing.
It's looking decent. The timing of this pinch is looking solid. Kendi from up high has the War Machine, but can't see anything. The smoke in his way. Susano down low with the claw, though, cleans things up. 226 to 196. Spawns will flip. Elevate now holding from the high ground. Streak starting to be earned by Kendi. Klo off the pitch with the equalizer. May have just put the nail into the coffin on map number 1 as Elevate wiped the floor. One more hit for Wolves that has to come from behind.
They're all going to be trapped back behind of this garden house, and they just need to pull out all the stops to try to break through.
Shots are good from Yopi Sparrow. Last couple of Wolves members dealt with as the smoke dissipates. 10 seconds remaining. 15 more to fight for on the hard point, and Yopi's got his attention in the right spot as the Pred missile locks things down from patio. Elevate gonna take map 1, 250, 196.
A lot closer than what it was suggested of being at the end of the first set of hard points, so that is a massive prop. When it comes down to Wolves, let's not forget, within that interview, they said that they wanted to face Elevate once again because of how strong their hardpoint in overall respawn prowess truly is. And we got to see that within the first set. I mean, Wolves, they look lost out there with some of the operator usage. It's the expending of a multitude of resources at the most inopportune moments. Elevate were rotating circles around Wolves consistently through the first and, candidly speaking, through the second set. That's where we started seeing Wolves at the end of that second set transition into a more macro development throughout all these different hardpoints, finding more key kills, getting high ground, power positions, making Elevate think twice before they just send one player on rotation. It was a good back and forth, but just a moment too late for Wolves.
Yeah, I agree. And I think a lot of it was Elevate, they were cycling out their operators really nicely. Equalizers finish, Purifiers right up in its place. Sparrow finishes, War Machine's up right in its place. Yeah. You're continually getting this forward pressure with the operators that are up close and personal, while also maintaining some choke point control by using your explosive operators like the Sparrow and the War Machine. So really good stuff from Elevate, especially I think to grow their lead initially. Like you said, Wolves did start to kind of make good changes in terms of how they were tempo-wise playing around the map, but it definitely was a day late and dollars short. Also, does it help that Klo finds himself 44-38 for the overall best KD, but everyone essentially pops for over 40 kills. Impressive stuff. Whereas your MVP from last year's Worlds, Neon, just goes 26-51. The Odin in his hand is just not as good as what he was using last year.
No, it certainly isn't, and you can see that just the discomfort when we get to Neon's POV. And I know it probably says a lot because Zai is technically at the top of their leaderboard, but he did technically slow down when we're looking at the kills that was being put up on the screen. But it should never have come to that point. Again, former MVP of last year, Neon, just really needs to come into their own here, needs a solid regain ahead of the Search and Destroy, especially with a multitude of respawns potentially on the docket.
You know, an interesting point here, and maybe something that Wolves, it's hard to do now because this is your last lifeline, but Elevate in their interview are talking about how one of the reasons they feel like they're really strong at Respawn right now is because they're running faster than most teams. Yeah. They only had one Odin in play. That one moment in time, the Grau was still being used by Elevate. So they're really going for this more automatic pressure with their ARs rather than just locking down with double Odins like we've seen a lot of teams do. And honestly, yeah, it's kind of the SKS conversation from a couple years ago. Sure, your instant TTK advantage by running an Odin when you hit shots is really high, but if you're not hitting shots, it's okay to use things like a Type or a Grau or another MG. Just get something more automatic in his hands if he's struggling with the single tap weaponry.
Yep, no, I agree. I think it's also just the comfortability when it comes down to the weapons, the average proximal distance for these gunfights as well. It's where a lot of people would rather have the MG being the bullet hose that it is. The margin for error with the MG, even comparatively to the Odin, is starkly different given the single tap and its nature of the Odin. But something does have to give. You almost feel like that this isn't the moment in time where you're just going to say, screw it, change everything, use this weapon instead. But you have to somehow figure it out. Either you match their pace if you're Wolves, or you try to slow it down by any stretch of the imagination. Yeah. And it's unfortunate to say, in the most forehead statement of the day out of me, at the very least, is you just have to hit those shots forehead.
Yeah, it's just really interesting that evaluation hasn't come through yet for this Wolves team. Now, to be fair, you know, kind of watching them through Chinese Masters as well as at CDSI, they were, I think, on this current map pool, the most successful hardpoint team out of the 3 Chinese squads because, again, Slums was being played, Raid was being played. You know, they were really deferring to playing a lot of Summit and a lot of Hacienda before this event. But against this type of speed, they're not finding the same kind of success that I think they were hoping for. Now, that told, we can transition away. Look at the Kurahano Metro. I love this call for Elevate to get this in the pool, or at least allow it to be picked in the pool, because flat out, you just don't want to play Wolves on Tunisia. You really don't want to see firing range versus them either, but you put them on a map like Kurahano or Takeoff where they have not historically had a lot of reps, it should tilt in favor of Elevate in a major way.
There are some reps and potential of some VOD to go back and think about when you are Wolves preparing for this matchup, and honestly some fellow countrymen, because let's not forget that Elevate yesterday did face up against Q9 on Kurahano. They did lose to them 3-7, so there is some data to be able to walk away from it. And again, going back to the overarching conversation from the patent aggression that comes out of this Elevate squad and why they found so much success in recent time, Search and Destroy on Kurahana could offer that snail's pace. You can slow it down pending that your sniper rifles don't over and egregiously chow through some of these very longer lines of sights, and you can manipulate the utility to really dictate the pace of those 3 different lanes.
It'll be interesting because we've also seen a lot of teams that don't have a lot of rehearsal reps on this map just default to saying, let's play the sniper battle at mid, see who hits their shot. So we'll see if that roll of the dice comes through here. And I think in particular, you have that conversation, and your first chapter of that book starts with Neon. Can he light things up like he had all last year? That was one of the main reasons that he got his MVP, was because of his performance in Search and Destroy. Wolves have to have him show up right now.
And it really does say something, again, much like how we were talking about Wolves versus Vitality, you and I, last night, is that for Search and Destroy, this is where you do need to step up in a big way, because you do have that shadow over your head as the worst Search and Destroy team to come out of a very good Search and Destroy region.
Indeed the case. Spreading of the map here from both sides. 3-2 split for Wolves, looking at the exteriors of the map, whereas Elevate have more focus internally, kind of turn to mid. Trophy systems are also deep on these mid cuts between A and B, so it looks like Elevate want to try to stabilize the middle of the map and use that as potentially a retake contest and not take these long-range sight lines, at least not initially.
The only one playing aggressively and off of reactions alone would be PJ for Elevate. Watch out for player number 4 of Zai from Wolves. He's just waiting for the go button to either hit through the A cuts or all the way back around.
Honestly, if you're Zai, you're just trying to create noise over here.
Yeah.
Nade over the top doesn't get to where it's intended to go. Smoke will block out mid-window for Wolves as they're trying to feel things out, but honestly speaking, Elevate still hold a major advantage on the map. They're trying to play a B defense that will allow them to cut through B Street. And it's going to be expensive for Wolves because they've had to use so much utility just to clear this out. Deep smoke comes through, but again, Elevate not going to be affected by it because here's the crossfire.
Close just playing for the timing. depending on the sound as well. Zai's going to start spraying some guns, but he has actually pulled 2 to the different
Good
defenders,
stun.
so Wolves do have numbers on this side of the map.
That stun, though, coming out of the middle of the map should be enough to alarm this Elevate defense that they're playing on to be. First contact good, though. PJ will drop at mid. Same will be said for Clo. So this defensive setup leaning towards playing deep on the B site, not going to work out. Sniper shot for Susano. Misses initially, but does connect on the second attempt. Wolves get in the plant. Post-plant setup can be deep here, and that's an issue. Elevate responding to it by trying to play through mid.
All going to have to be a double stack together through mid. Maybe try to coordinate a pinch, but it's going to be delayed now. It's going to take a lot of time for Susano to read position.
Yeah. Peg can just play an initial point of contact off an off angle here, as long as he predicts the correct angle. Timing is not initially great, but the follow-up could be, or maybe not. Elevate win the first 2 battles. Now it's just down to can you actually clear out the high ground spaces behind the B site. There's the tickle on the bomb.
Oh,
that's
no.
enough to force out the check. Susano,
Wow.
Yopi, both able to pull Wolves post-plant towards them. They find every single kill, and how about that for a little 3v4?
A little 3v4 dissection through the middle of the map, just playing off of damage and information that was found. I honestly thought that Zai was the ace up the sleeve there for Wolves with the 2 picks that he was able to find for himself. He played it perfectly, pulled 2 players away from the A-bomb side itself, hit back through mid, found the flank, and worked out ever so wonderfully for Wolves until the 3v4 came true.
Absolutely the case. Trophy systems again for Elevate, going to allow them to play inside the B cut. Defense still preferring to just stay away from the sight lines. I like it. Keep your hard scoped angles, force Wolves to make a play. It's difficult to get nades back to this position. Yes, there's a trophy there, which makes things even more difficult, but just getting it onto this corner, so tough to do. And Susano saying, I'll take that advantage all day.
This is going to be the mental warfare, at least on this half, so long as Zai just continues to cause a ruckus on this A street. And it's currently trying to be set up for a very similar attempt over by B. That nade will cross paths with another nade, and most teams will not get any information from it.
Nade smoke all going over towards Kendi's direction. He's just going to try to spam through, see if he can connect on anything, as the defense now has to be alerted to a play towards B. Problem is, Zai, who continued to try to play on an island, does get taken down this time by Susano. So 5v4, major advantage towards Elevate as we're underneath the 55-second mark.
And they're going to try to rewrap this all the way over towards A main. Susano, don't bite off more, you can chew. Angles being held, catches Fiani. He was trying to reposition, that timing's immense.
And now you've got Yopi in a spot where he can be kind of, you know, whatever he sees is what he can do. What a shot from King. This little jump peek, that will work out. Peg able to find one before dropping, keeps the numbers advantage in favor of Elevate. Follow up good from Yopi.
Man.
And now it's just down to Shink, who does have the bomb, could plant this for potential to tilt the 1v3 more into his name, but this is still a difficult post plant for him.
Gonna have to try to isolate a handful of players, very active players on the map as well, Yopi and Clo. Never want to count out Kendi as well. Does find the first, expects the second, but not the third to come all the way through. But, I mean, that is how you utilize your numbers in a 1v3 retake for Elevate. It got super close. Jing almost made it come all the way through. But this is, again, back-to-back rounds where Wolves did have every slightest bit of the advantage. They tried to get back through mid, thinking that they pulled enough defenders back over towards A. B was not the case of it being fully vacated from the mid being held, and they lost their numbers along the way.
I think if you're Wolves on this offense, you need to have the awareness to know that both the scopes are playing on safe angles on the outsides of the map. I would love to see Wolves do a little bit more focus to try to pull something in towards mid. Smoke that mid window. Try to get these mid-cut advantages by playing through mid, not just playing through the outside of the map, because once again, Susano's on one angle, Kendi's on the other. This time, Susano gets overwhelmed. Too many numbers to deal with, and Wolves are off to the races day.
It's full-on sprint, but watch the mid cover through the smoke is currently being shrouded for Yopi. The timing off of the nade. Clo does find that first blood, but now Yopi gave up his position.
And this is smart. Clo, I'm sure, dictates the comm that, hey, I threw this on the bomb, so they do not plant now. But Peg pushing forward, takes down 2. Means that you've got a 2v3 situation. Long wrap on the way from Kendi, and whoa, he's giving himself up.
Oh,
whoa, what a shot! So now it's just down to 1v1. Peg versus Kendi. And it's going to be, initially contact for Kendi. Misses the shot, takes a lot of damage, but both players will survive and reset.
Regen's going to come through. Peg has the bomb. He wants the reach out as well. He's just laying prone around the backside of the box. This timing is everything.
Oh, they are about to be
He's not going to flick through it. We saw.
Oh, the timing. Kendi just holding himself in a corner, was looking to see maybe there'd be a plant for me to move, but gets caught, and Peg comes away with a massive clutch.
And it's a bold call still to hang around that area of the map, knowing dang well who you were going up against. You know that Kendi's probably going to be watching that box with a sniper rifle. Peg did have ample opportunity to get the hell out of dodge, which is why Kendi was no longer looking at the backside of the A site. So Wolves finally break the mold from a massive clutch out of Peg.
Same situation with the scopes here for the defensive elevate. I would love to see a little bit more focus from Wolves at mid. It's just essentially SMG and MG42 peaks. Nades are out. That bounces into the corner. Kendi able to connect for the first, and PJ is still very comfortable here. And wow, this is no smoke coverage. We're trying to find contact through mid without trying to really toss any utility or smokes to deter this elevate setup at all. And that's enough for Kendi to come back, find a couple of kills, and now Elevate have dominated the early stages of this round.
You got a sniper and an SMG. Peg and Jing. This would be Herculean to say the least. Cloak got a nice little timing. The head peak cannot get away with a kill. And after Peg found said kill, was able to get away, reset his life. There is time to try to dissect this defensive setup, but I like the response out of Elevate. Look, we lost one number, just go back to a standardized setup, cover the bomb sites, buddy system.
Yep. And PJ is in a spot to where if he sees contact, he can finesse his life a little while longer. This time instead, he gets the timing. Peg drops the spam just in case. But Shing is not in the ballpark. Instead, he's over towards A Street. And there will be an opportunity for him to plant here and try to tilt this back into his favor, but I say that with such hesitation because it's still a 1v4.
Nice little campfire moment going on over by that B-bomb site. A little powwow, if you will. Sorry, Chloe will fill you in on what the group chat says at the end of this round.
Yeah.
It says Jing is taking ample time and just making sure everything is cleared. Will commit towards this plant. We'll have to see how the numbers advantage will work this time for Elevate.
Yeah, he needs to get one and get away. Get a reset in. He's not going to have a chance. Yeah, Elevate just sprint at him.
Just like holding the free scope, you just see 4 different blue players just run out of
Yeah, for real. Yeah, man, this map is really difficult from the offensive perspective. It's just, you know, the thing about it is you can tuck these trophy systems defensively into these corners to where you have to bounce these nades perfectly for the trophies to even be activated. So it's just one of those things that the defenders stay so safe for so long. That's why I'm kind of looking for Wolves to try to hit something and hit something hard. You know, smoke back towards mid window, throw your stuns and your nades into one of these mid cuts and try to push it through that direction. But easier said than done. Here's a big set of nade focus over towards one corner, but again, it just puts you out in the open. PJ for one. The follow-up is good, though, for Shing. Trades back and forth as Chloe tries to have the final word. Not going to happen. We'll go 3v3.
It's just a cadence that we have not seen out of Wolves, to your point there, so far, these 4 rounds of play. But that was probably the most aggressive up front that you could possibly have seen out of Wolves through the 5 rounds now. You have numbers. 3v2 on the map. B-bomb side starting to look juicier by the moment, but it seems that it's just going to be a retake. Kendi, Susanna both have sniper rifles respectively, looking for a pick.
Yeah. Pushes on the way in. Smoke still holding that towards the outside of B Street. Peg on for the plant. Here comes the push forward for Susano. Pardon me?
Sure.
Trade is out, though, so now it's just down to Kendi. 1v2 situation. Not unfamiliar to these grounds, but it's difficult to say the least. Misses the first onto Dion. Second will not be so fortunate, and he gets a hit marker. Oh, brother.
Woo. I believe both you and I were there for a second and thinking that that was just mere pixels away from having that second kill and potential for a 1v1. If Kendi's alive, you feel like it's always possible. 3-2 goes to scoreline. And then we go back towards a very aggressive look over towards A main. Last time they did this, they did not commit. Very standardized defensive setup, but the entire play for Wolves is just to have Peg on an island, create as much ruckus as possible for B.
And this is different already in terms of Wolves. They have been dealing with a lot of resiliency early through this A mid cut. Now there's nobody there. So this throws a lot of question marks into Wolves' mind. Is there someone playing up through mid? Nope, it's Yopi with a shotgun, which you thought may be in the proper spot to find some effectiveness. Not the case. 2 sniper shots will land. Wolves now in a 5v3 for the post plant. Chloe may decide to try to chow this quickly. Try to catch one on the exit. First sniper shot misses, but now he's stuck. And there's nowhere for Elevate to go. A 3-3 happen. Considering how it looked early, that is unreal good for Wolves.
Yes, it really is. Again, when it comes down to it, Search and Destroy has been the weakest game mode for Elevate this entire weekend so far. 1-2, but still undefeated. And top 2 seed coming into the single elimination bracket. But Wolves really did impress me last night, the way that they looked versus Vitality in that map number 2. they can definitely get in your heads when it comes down to the aggression and how accurate they can be. 3 kills for Zai is not the sexiest KD ratio in the world, but he's setting his team up continuously.
There's still a lot of free space for Elevate to work over towards A. They've got some deep trophy systems down as well. Wolves are just letting them have the map, essentially. And you don't want to let Clo have the map, because then he starts to do stuff like that. Smoke on the way in. Wolves try to use this as a chance to retake and contest this bomb plant. Ching on the corner doesn't quite get affected by the stun like Elevate had predicted, but the trades are good, and Elevate just run through A.
And that's the aggression that we were asking out of Wolves. We saw a bit of it when they aggressively hit through mid to B, but it wasn't anything like that. And again, Elevate has one game plan, one MO in mind, and that is just to run you down and outshoot you as well. So Wolves have to respect that that is a very possibility. These early stuns and nades need to be timely to be able to get the information, but it seems instead of A Street, why not go down mid?
Shoulder had been seen by Kendi. I love this call, but time's going to run out on this play as that smoke on the A cut is going to dissipate. So Elevate need to make a decision here. You don't want to be stuck at mid. And Kendi is just going to play the Vanguard, just contact checking with a Tundra. You think he's feeling himself?
A little bit.
I'll say. Missed the first. Doesn't miss the second. That's not bad to go 1 for 1. Still tucked in a corner at mid is PJ. He doesn't get checked. And now all of a sudden, Wolves get caught on their rotation, and it's a free play for PJ to move in towards A. First sniper shot misses for King, and PJ finds a second.
Absolutely one shot. What a hit marker. PJ should be dead to rights. Here comes the cavalry, though. Rest of Elevate swarming around the A bomb site. 2v4 now. Can Wolves find the timing or an exit?
First shots are clean from Zai, looking to double up. Knows he's got players a little bit deeper. Neon on his secondary pinch. That lands. They know they've got one player nearby. Elevate, back off. That was Yopi who was close initially. Now he's tucked into a corner. And against an Odin and a Tundra, it's just do not give them the angle. Yopi able to take down Zai. Neon now in trouble. There's the shoulder from Yopi. Shot misses for Neon. Follow-up coming through down street, and that's Susato to meet him at range. Elevate up 5-3.
2 more rounds from a 2-0 lead out of Elevate. And again, aggression is a suit they've been wearing since the start of it all. It works out so wonderfully for them, and just how decisive they are once they start flipping the transition from one bomb site to the next. Look at how just placed these nades are. So wonderfully done, and how much space they take because of it.
Yep, and it's just immediately a throwdown at B. Zai trying to survive through the stuns. Not going to work out. The SMG's just too quick, too confident. Fenix ringing out through the B site. Wolves in trouble, but King fighting back. And Peng, he wants to chow this. What an explosive challenge from Clo, though. This breaks the camera. Slides on him, leaves it down to King. 1v3, and he's got too many corners to clear. Elevate just rushing through Wolves, now up 6-3.
Trying to make this offensive half a little bit of a speed run. I tip it out of you, Elevate, but again, it almost feels like anything you can do, we can do better and faster as well. Just the speed that they are just covering these sites. There are no party tricks, there's no bait plays. It's just nades, take space, gunfight.
That's just game plan right there. That's the GP on GD right there. Game plan on game day. Looking good for Elevate. Here comes the rush. Sing just overwhelmed. Mercy. Wolves trying to hold on to the backside at B. Do well to slow down the play from PJ. Clo also has to give up the angle for just a moment. Help is on the way. This is completely enveloped. Now it's just down to who hits their shots. First shot misses. Yopi trying to follow up a little bit deeper. That will work. That's going to scale this Elevate offense deep into the B side a little bit more. Wolves have to be worried about that. And as Peng checks the shoulder, he gets punished. It's all down to Neon. We called him. He needs to show up in a big way. First shot goes awry. 1v2 for Neon. This is a wide peak from both players. Shots will miss, and Clo will finish it out. A 7-3 stat line. Elevate looking clean.
It's the one map mode combination that needed to be a guarantee for Wolves to stay alive in this series. We knew that they had to try to seal away a respawn. They themselves in their interview were very, very much so admitting to how good Elevate are at respawns. But when Elevate get to a Kurahana where we had some question marks, it was going to be a very good look for them regardless for things like that. Would you don't see a body, you don't even connect with any information off a stun, they don't even hesitate. Not even just to confirm the information, but just to get in your face and run you over immediately. The ability that Elevate have been able to showcase at CDSI, here at Worlds, is nothing but respect for how quickly they get in and how quickly they work together to get those team shots, to get the kills, to get the bomb planted. It's fundamental COD, baby.
And I think the thing about it, you know, kind of hearing the conversations around the community about Elevate in the opening moments of CDSI, their search and destroy. It's like, brothers, we gotta figure this out. But by the time they started getting into the playoff bracket, hey, let's just get a good game plan for our map pick, win that, and then we're good to win the series because our respawn is so good. That's been the case here. This was their map selection. They looked very well bred for it, especially from the offensive perspective.
Yeah, I can't say anything but just amazing things. I mean, for a 3-3 half, just to waltz on into your offensive half and then just completely eviscerate the Wolves along the way. Some very close calls and some very clutch moments. You look at players like Kendi, like Susano, the aggression from close, spearheading a lot of the mid plays were Yopi and PJ. It's just a well-oiled machine at the end of the day. Even Cali can't help himself, but just absolutely love what Elevate are doing.
It's clean stuff, man. It's clean stuff. Yopi, Susano, Kendi, PJ, all walking away with 9 eliminations. Klo at 7-8 was also the catalyst for a lot of the plays and how they started. So again, it's a good 5-man roster putting together an even effort across the board. On the other side, yeah, the sniper rifles, not impactful for Wolves again. Bottom 2 fraggers are your 2 scopes for the Chinese squad. Not what we saw from last year. They were the 2 that really carried them through a lot of the S&Ds.
And you were really hoping for the bounce back from Neon. You know, we always set it up. Maybe a better player once he gets a sniper rifle in his hands. And for Kurahana Metropolis, it surely should have been panning out that way. But when you're getting stunned, smoke checked, naded, and displaced continuously just from the team nades that are coming through from Elevate, very difficult to do even at the highest level of Call of Duty Mobile. So it's do or do not now for Wolves as you find yourself down 0-2. And now you have to reverse sweep Elevate. I want to say they've been here before because they absolutely have, but it finished in an absolute sweep. Now they have to reverse it.
And the control has not necessarily been a staple for Wolves, let alone on the fact that they have to play it on Seaside, which they played once at CDSI. They were able to 4-0, but that was Standpoint, who are not here. So, again, it just kind of comes down to how the map veto selection has worked. Elevate, because of their dominance and control, continue to hold edges in this 3-map pool set. So, they get the Seaside. They have the choice between that and Arsenal. You take Seaside because you don't want Wolves to go to one of their strongest overall, map mode combos. And again, it looks pretty clear that Elevate should be able to run through this and get a 3-0.
Yeah, it's starting to look that way, right? I mean, even as far as the comparisons that we've gotten through both maps 1 and 2 at this point in time, the slaying prowess and just being able to manipulate whatever map that they're on. When I think of potential spawn trap in disastrous situations, specifically when it comes down to Seaside, I fear for what Elevate might honestly do here.
Yeah, and the other side of this conversation in terms of putting together the second step of the reverse sweep, then you got to go to Elevate's map selection of Apocalypse Hardpoint.
Yeah,
and that doesn't feel necessarily all that great based on the results that they put together. I mean, it's just been one of those things, and the numbers say one thing, but I think the narrative point overall is you go back to CDSI and you combine that with the Swiss, and now so far through the playoff bracket, Elevate have only lost 2 respawns in that time period. That's a lot of maps of respawn that they went through. Only dropping 2 is unbelievable.
Yeah, I'd feel pretty confident coming into this entire tournament if I were Elevated. You can't necessarily blame that once you go up a handful of rounds. The jump challenges, even when they were down by a round or 2 out of Kendi, Susano feeling the swagger as well. Everybody has a target on this team.
Yeah.
There's no doubting that. You did win the most recent major tournament at CDSI, so everybody wants to try to beat Elevate. Arena is now officially on the map, and it's nothing but just bright eyes, just trying to see who is going to step up to the task and try to take them down.
Yeah. Well, with that, we have some comms, I believe, from the previous 2 maps. We'll check out some of the sounds of the game to this point.
Nice! Okay lang. Fucking hell, okay lang. Nice try, boy. 2-3 lang tayo, 2-3. Magko-commit. Harap mo. Magsisiti ako. Tara, PJ, bigyan ako. Last hit. Isa pa. Isa pa. Nice! PJ. Nice man, boy. Backside tata. Baka kung Kilang. Hawak ko, kaliwa. To side. Yeah. Nice!
Last 2. Let's go. Mamaya na.
Nice.
Last.
Niyan.
Niyan lang yan. Sige, plan job. Huwag kayo matay. Sige.
City.
Pep mo.
Kaliwa. Hapel. Kaliwa.
Nice!
Energy high for the Elevate boys, and why not? A big 2-0 so far in this series, with the swing map going, again, very favorably towards their direction based on the history. Seaside for our control coming up here. And it just feels like by how we've seen Elevate play this map over the course of their region qualifiers, over the course of CDSI, they've got a really good handle for it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you're looking at just the usual suspects coming through for Elevate, and why they've been able to find so much success. It's going to sound like a broken record, I'm sure, to you all at home by the end of the day, unless you're like us and are just such a massive fan to be able to see this Elevate team do super well. I think that it's just, when you're as confident as ever, when you go back, because I'm sure that they've also realized the simple stat that you just said of only losing 2 hard points across a very short and yet elongated time period, yeah, you're going to be feeling pretty darn confident going into the Seaside. Everything pans in your favor.
Yeah, been really convincing stuff, man. So, who knows? We may have another region claiming the crown of the best COD Mobile team in the world. Started off with North America, really dominating the conversation. Last year, India on the map, with China taking what felt like a trophy that was pretty much going to go their way eventually, just kind of seeing how things trend. But now all of a sudden, Elevate really coming into form for this Garena region. Definitely a chance to see them escalate in towards the #1 spot, not just in the Eastern region after CDSI, but in the world. And that's after, by the way, again, their Swiss schedule was stupid hard. They played 3 teams that all made it to playoffs and beat them all. So Wolves, a team they've already seen before in the last couple of weeks and have dominated. They're looking to really cement that if they could put them away here at the 3-0 tally.
The 2 games that went all 3 maps yesterday for Elevate, both ended on Raid. It's the first time that they're playing Seaside all weekend long, but to Shift's previous point, not exactly an unknown venue to them.
No. Well, it's going to be PJ on an R9 as Elevate defensively going to have to respond to the quick pressure from Wolves, hitting the U stairs already in towards this bottom B point, and it's looking pretty decent. Even kills to this moment, but 2 ticks of progress locked. Great date, I guess. I mean,
it works.
It bounces right into the lap, and there will be enough contest. I believe the second tick did get locked, but still, Elevate will reclaim control of the zone, at least for now.
Sure will. Second segment got locked, so you feel like one more good push might just be the B control zone, but you already have a threat over towards A by their lonesome was Peg. Maybe biting off more than they could choose as the rest of the numbers for Wolves are trying to get down inside of the brick staircase, trying to take over the restaurant once again.
Yeah, good kills from the side of Wolves. They know they got a player on one of the side stairs. That's a really brilliant win from Susano initially, but can only do so much with it. So now Elevate holding on towards barrels. Wolves not able to push up through Church, so they're trying to hit this right from the front. Peg, quick, and in the action, trying to find these Elevate members onto the defense, but they've backed off just a touch, trying to measure the approach before they try to recommit, and as they do, it's Clo for a handful. That's 3 in a row for him as Elevate look to now step forward towards Checkers.
7 kills, and the closest one to him in the lobby is currently 4. Just a great start coming through for Clo. Just when you think that you fully cleared everything, Clo might just be working on a little bit of a pinch. Peg is pushing all the way up to the already captured zone. And one thing that you are benefiting from Wolves is that there hasn't been all the space taken away from Elevate winning those previous gunfights.
Yeah, and Elevate are very aware that there could be a push forward on the overextension. They've dealt with Peg initially. Next contested would be King in that department of the map, whereas the rest of Wolves are trying to stack themselves up for a hit from the front. Susano, really well done, as again, this front cupboard is being locked down by the Elevate defense. Wolves trade things out, but it's costing lives. 14 plays, 10 minute, 12 on the clock.
Got one player just pulling so many different numbers from Wolves. That's going to be Clo again, who's just finessing his life. Look how many numbers for Wolves. They do not want him in this position. Finally taken down. And I can shift their focus back towards the front. Just under a minute left to play, 12v10.
Good opening from King, but they can't clear out Secret. Kendi, R9 in hand now, as they know that this defense is likely going to have to be resounded from inside the barrel. Susano deals with Peg. And where is the hit from Wolves? They have yet to even come close to hitting anything in any sort of concentrated form. Shing able to open things up, but I mean, what are we doing here? I think Neon still had a scope out. I mean, We're fighting inside of barrels. It doesn't get any tighter than this. Here comes the play from Clo to clean things out. Equalizer is tilting the advantage. 7v4 situation. Clo's not done. He's not done in any form. How about the spree from Clo? 6v2. And I'm not gonna lie, Neon needs to put away the frickin' scope and get involved.
Zai's last alive, 1 of 2, you know exactly where they're located at now, 1v4, not enough time, you would think, to isolate the last 4 remaining players, but a great call for Clo. Just exploiting the one thing that is lacking from Wolves, and that is a close proximal gunfight around barrels and inside of this A control zone. Zai will finally fall. Elevate will only allow 3 segments to go all the way through, which is massive for them, should this even go 5.
And again, Neon's got the Odin out now, but I want to say throughout the majority of that first round, he's still pulling out a scope.
Yep.
It's like, what are we doing? 1-6 start for the MVP from last year. While in the meantime, Clo is having it his way. Early equalizers lead to now a Pred, and you've got explosions all over the map. War Machine, Sparrow, all being used on either zone here. So you've got tons of trophy systems down for Wolves that counteract one of the 2 threats, but not the other. Clo in mid-map at Church is just going to kind of play a pivot point as Elevator looking for the spawn trap.
Trying to work it. Any kills coming all the way through. Going to be into the waiting hands of the Purifier with PJ. Already finds 1 Predator missile. Taya sends Peg to an immediate spawn screen again.
Well, this is going to be interesting because now all of a sudden the Wolves have cleared out their spawn and they're putting together a spawn trap of their own as we jump into a Wolves listening.
还有俩，最好能刷。
我帮你们断教堂。
往前补，让后面的去。
刷不成了 ，A 去了。
我走了，能不能省个大招？
咱家注意死角，咱家左边死角。
跟他掰吧，哥们儿。
咱家左边死角死了。
在家等着呢。就架着。别了。
给我狙了。
跑。去个吧台吧。
等花箱应该快好了。
我去吧台。
等花箱应该快好了。
Very calm listening as Wolves set up a bit of a spawn trap, locking down every single lane. Not much to say. You watch that angle, I'll watch this one. Don't lose your ones. And at the moment, Wolves are winning every single one of them. Elevate now working on a little bit of motion through checkers. They're going to find a way to try to enter on into the site.
Going to try to keep this close proximity. Kenny with the R9 would be the tip of the spear naturally. Yopi does find the opening, and now Kenny has found his way in. Will be traded, though. The claw's been popped.
Claw for Susano. Damage tally. Doesn't quite use that as a way to confirm any kills, though, and that will be enough for Wolves to clear the zone. 12v4 situation. Looking clean for Wolves. Just down to what Elevate can muster on this last hit. If they can do it cleanly, there is chances to hold this very convincingly, but the problem is, how do you get rid of this stack over towards the front stairs at checkers? And the answer is you don't. Peg finds the kill. He also has an equalizers in case things get messy, which doesn't look like they will. Peg still on a bit of a spree off 2 in a row. Follow-up from Xing is good, and Clo has been seen on this long flank through Graveyard, so should be a pretty comfortable defensive win for Wolves to get us back to a 1-1 count.
Yeah, I mean, and throughout the entirety of that listen, and what was very evident was in fact, the spawn trap was very good. Whittling away so many of the different lives. Clo is just trying to chase down somebody. They're just running away from him, just playing with his food. All right.
What is happening?
I mean, this is just like the most aggressive game of cat and mouse I've ever seen. Like, we have heaven weaponry, prize fighters as well.
What's going on?
I don't know, but someone please cue the Benny Hill music.
I'll say, no one wants the zone. It's like they're trying to allow Clo to get more capture done. What is happening? What is happening? Wolves are finessing, trying to, I think, get Clo on the zone for some sort of capture, and they're letting him find the eliminations until finally Neon knocks him out, but some moment of comic relief there.
I don't know. I'm either glad it's over or sorry it happened. Like, one of those. 4-12 for Kenty so far. As Elevate struggle to find themselves any segments over by A, so we're all tied up there, 3 apiece.
Quick action, full 5-man hit, automatic towards the A zone. Elevate trying to stand tall, but Xing has pushed themselves through. War Machine just trying to lock things down in case there is some sort of a pinch, but not to happen. Elevate's trying to set up the spawn trap. This is going to come at the cost of a free A zone, though. Will that actually play the difference maker? Because honestly, Wolves can still fight out of their spawn, and if they still capture, they can rotate quickly to B, but Elevate's defense from behind clear out the point. That will be enough to deplete the third tick progress.
And it allows Clo and Susano to try to get into a nastier position. And since losing one, two more have now replaced a fallen Elevate member. Good heads up, peek there out of Susano. The Odin not going to be able to get the better of Xing in that gunfight at the bottom side of the stairs, but you still have presence from the team in blue on the opposite side of the map.
Yep. Well, here we go. Wolves now on their next approach. Do you get the extra 60 on this attack? Close by himself over towards B, so in terms of defensive status, Elevate is really putting a lot of investment towards holding on towards the zone itself. Sparrow part of the picture. The hit towards B starts to develop those. Wolves find the solo defender there, and they will quickly realize this is a wide open zone. Enough for at least Xing to stop the clock at 35 seconds, and now he's going to try to hold his life with Sparrow out.
This is good control coming through from Wolves, albeit down by 7 lives now. Xing going to pull out the Sparrow, finds himself 2. Kendi pulls out the War Machine just as a response, shut down almost immediately. Second segment on the way over by B, and numbers are that much more potent on this side of the map for the Wolves.
Now Xing able to win that 1v1 onto PJ, so now Elevate are in dire straits. Off the respawn, they have to be worried about mid-map. Third tick locked at B. No one in position to deal with any immediate exits. This is just about if Elevate can stop Wolves from playing through the backside on the OE. Clo from the front, comes around the corner. What? Able to get the left hand right into the face of Xing. And that now all of a sudden has Elevate playing very far forward, scaling this defense into checkers.
Xing has been anchoring in their base, just expecting somebody to try to push all the way through, and by the time it finally does, Clo doesn't want any more of it. Just completely resets with the rest of his team. The defense is all centered around barrels, but you still have players trying to guard off the church.
Yep, you have one member from behind. That's Peg. He's got the equalizers out. He's good for 2. Purifier to counter. King, Annihilator out as they get the shutdown onto PJ. Shot misses though. King shut down. Clo now with the equalizers. He's looking to push forward, and will he ever? 3 kills in the feed. Elevate now pushed all the way up, and with only 3 lives remaining, Wolves not looking all that potent to try to finish off this offense.
Not likely. Neon does have an operator, but you really do hope that they do not pull that out. I know it's not the greatest KD ratio you got going for yourself, but you're going to need that for potentially a round 5 defense should the kills continue to rest the way that they are. How it does work, segments are currently going to be led, albeit from an extra offense. But with these 5 segments, does technically put Wolves in a better position to try to get that round 5 defense should it not end on the upcoming round.
War Machine out for Zai.
Wait,
they think that they could put this away. They think they could just get on and stack, and they may be right.
Wait.
Two kills are in. This is going to be a 3v2 to try to open this up. This is still winnable. Last 5 seconds. PJ, he's got the R9, and he's good for 1. Not able to get the second. Just down to King. Can he contest the zone? It's on with 0 seconds, but Yopi cleans them out. A real strong investment for Wolves, thinking they had an opening, and it gets shut down.
It's just an awkward thing to assume that you have an opening just with that much time. I mean, when you do find the white, you do send them so far out of the way that the stack 3-player strong, should everybody have stayed alive, would have came all the way through. But once the trades start to follow up, Elevate just have to reinvest a couple more numbers around the zone and be perfectly fine. Can end here should Elevate win an offense.
Oh, but Peg over towards barrels. Able to find a couple to open things up. It leaves Clo by himself with a 1v1 versus King, which he does win. Clock will stay paused at a minute 16. First tick of progress looking likely to get locked here at B. Follow up from Elevate. Try to clean out the middle of the map. Well, also, PJ is just trying to make sure there's no spawn trap. He's done well on the top side of Fountain, at least initially. But Xing has the final word. Gets himself 2, and now Wolves have to be considerate about what's coming off spawn from Elevate.
Yeah, sure do. Have a couple players already pushing past the well, though. Do Wolves just trying to at least meet them. Kendi finds a nasty one versus Zai. There's a lot of stray gunfights happening all the way across the map. You still have 2 players over by the B zone. That's going to have to be chalk. You do have King putting himself into a position to maybe find a couple exits. Does find the first.
But Elevate stave off the spawn trap. Live starting to get pulled back a touch for the Elevate offense. 18 plays 21. You've got a deep member in Yopi playing through Church to clean up on the Zai forward. Now all of a sudden has Susano looking in towards the zone with help. But Yopi takes himself out of the picture with the Sparrow. That could have been huge to stop the Wolves' defensive rotating in, but now it's just on to Kendi to spam this back alleyway through Dark, and it will not be enough to find many eliminations. Claw on the other side from Neon. That'll be good to open things up and get Wolves back in for contest.
do need to try to use this claw for maybe another kill or two. You would love to have that. Extend the life lead from 17 plus. Onto the 13, try to get them into single digits if possible, but the claw will have to be put away. No operators online for all 10 players within this lobby. But you have a minute and 35 to try to exasperate the numbers of Wolves and try to find a way in.
Long route on the way from PJ, but the hit from the front is not developing. Good shot from Kendy, little pixel peek from him. Shake, proactive with the Sparrow, able to find one, turns back over, Trophy System denies the final bolt, but still, the kill is in. And now PJ is trying to cause a ruckus inside the spawn. 13 plays 9 though. The hit from the front starting to develop. Yopi, how much can he finesse inside the zone? A couple of the Wolves members still alive, Neon in particular, playing the backside of the pillar, and that's enough for now Zai and Neon to start working things back with the War Machine coming through. Wolves looking good with an 11v5 to try to finish off this round and set us to a 5th.
And War Machine might be an overinvestment again, but hey, Zai might honestly earn it by the end of the next round as well. He's pretty good at getting score in a game of Call of Duty Mobile. Still 5 lives remaining. Klo pulls out the equalizer, thinking that might just be the opening required, and they're just running straight into him.
Yeah, I mean, Klo's going to turn this into a 4v4 if he can just keep farming these kills off spawn.
Yeah.
So now it's just down to what actually happens from the front. Klo's not going to lose any of these gunfights, not with an equalizer out.
Oh my
now
gosh.
it's down to what's happening on the zone. What's happening on the zone? Elevator finding the kills. It's a 2v2 situation. Second tick of progress is in. Third on the way with the double stack.
Like this.
Who can get in? PJ has the purifier out. Does he predict the right doorway? He sure has. Yopi falls the first. Now it's just down to the 1v1. Peg saves the day. We're going to a round 5.
What a call from Klo just to put Elevate, who were so far down in numbers, in a position that almost had them winning. In that moment of time, Peg, for the 1v1, had to get both kills at the end. Was lighter HP, but the shots were that much more pure. We go again.
Of the trade available for both teams. Hunter Killer drone already out. EMP also was charged up by Yopi, but that's it. No more score streaks, no more operators for Elevate. Wolves working on their second tick of progress, looking good for it with Peg and King still holding on to operators. Huge tools for Wolves as they try to finalize this A zone.
B zone's gonna get fully captured. What's the exits look like? You got an Elevate member in your spawn, by the way. Oh, what's that you say? Oh, there's 2. Kendy and PJ are trying to keep these players at bay, and Kendy's just gonna find 2 immediately off the spawn. Here comes at least one more player to try to get these Elevate members away. And King's actually gonna invest the Annihilator to just try to win these gunfights in their spawn. Does have one spawn member come up to just try to help things out. But while all this is happening, Wolves are developing a spawn trap of their own.
That's over towards Bakery side. King able to get the Annihilator to not just clear out the spawn, but also clear out the front closet. Elevate trying to deal with Neon around the back, and the boxy gloves will do the trick. Now over towards Dark. PJ versus Shing. Advantage PJ with the health pool. And that's enough now to get Elevate in the zone. Yopi making sure there's no hit from the front as the Sparrow cleans things up. Peg trying to get the equalizer around the back, and he's going to put some pain into the Elevate spawn.
Isolated gunfight over on the left side of the map, and Klo's actually going to be able to win that one as well. Equalizer out from Peg. Just waiting for kills to come all the way through. Well, Kendy's just going to be the first, but immediately traded out. Nice investment from Yopi there with the Sparrow. Now you only have 2 more operators left to go through, and that's Elevate not only with the positional advantage, but also the resources too.
PJ in a bit of finesse, trying to get himself back in towards safety, trying to contest this left side closet. Good for the first, almost transfers for more. Claw out for Susanoo, spamming things down. Bolts are firing all over the place. And that's enough to keep the Wolves offense at bay a little while longer. But the claw gets expired. Good patience from Wolves. We're still in a 13v15. Kendy now the next one up with the War Machine.
And it's again, it's the resource management coming through. One gets expired, the next one gets pulled. Trophy system out, but Kendy still finds 2. The trophy systems can only stay alive for so long. 35 seconds left to play. 3 operators online for Wolves.
Just comes down to the timing and the effectiveness of when they decide to use these under the 30-second mark. Long flank from King. This is going to be potentially a 1v1 between him and Klo eventually, but the hit from the front starts to get forced as Shing, when the War Machine for Zai, start to be used together. Peg pushing through all the damage. PJ, the last one standing. He's going to fall, but Klo, are we joking? Klo's still alive, but only for so long. It's just the claw left. 6v6. Neon's not stopping the clock. Neon's not stopping the clock. Eventually, Wolves get on. but that's a lot of time drained. Kendi on the way forward, shut down by Neon. Neon still doing a little bit of work. 5v5 action. Yopi on the re-entry, not able to get there. The Purifier shut down. 4v1. It's just down to Kendi. The stack is in. Kendi's trying to hustle to get there. Can he find an angle? Peg holding it down. Wolves will survive into a fourth map.
We go again. And you never really want to count out Zai getting just a war machine round after round. Always good for it, always generating score, but yeah, some sweat has to be dripping down their brow the way that you were able to at least clean up those last few kills from Neon, but instead of just holding inside of the zone, stopping up that clock, wanted to hold a further position. It only benefited going 1-for-1, but it meant that you did have to pay some respect and slow up rather than just sprinting straight into the zone, into barrels. It made you think twice about it. The Wolves, step in the right direction so far. You took away the control, but still so much more to do in this entire best-of-5 series, but a good step in the right direction.
Absolutely the case. The heroics in round 4, I think, take the cake. And then the efficiency kind of in round 5 to make sure that spawn trap had good value, especially on a Peg with the equalizer initially. Massive. So many small moments. In terms of even the first 2 rounds, offensive wins were right at the precipice. So a very tight map back and forth, but Elevate will drop their 3rd respawn in the last month and a half. And now we go to an APOC hardpoint where, again, Elevate will feel really good about their chances to put the series away here. This comes down to, did Wolves wake up a little bit and get ready to go for a map that they are not bad at for any stretch of the imagination?
You might need to go down there and tell those boys of Wolves that exact stat, because they might need it. They looked a little baffled at the end of even winning that map just to stay alive in this series, just for how oppressive this Elevate squad truly is. 39-26 out of Clo, who was always a thorn in the side of the spawn. But as far as slaying is concerned, Zai in the respawns for Wolves all weekend long has been consistent from their CDSI performance as well. Just needs a little bit of help, and we could probably see a lot more out of this Wolves team.
Yeah, absolutely the case. But a better performance from Neon in particular, I think, especially the heroic moments that were required from Wolves. Peg continues to show up when it matters most, and Zai, who has been
championship ring. And you gave them their first respawn loss in quite some time, and especially on Control, their first Control loss all weekend long. All of that said, it is Apocalypse Hardpoint. It was their venue to pick for a reason. 10-2 leading into this entire weekend across all the tournaments that have recently been played for Elevate. They freaking love it here. We got to get some teams laid down the groundwork, get dirty, because you never know where these SMGs for Elevate might be lurking.
And with that, locking down lanes, transmitting good information. That has to be the key. Opening nade, well placed up towards maps. That'll work out for Elevate. Finding themselves an early advantage on the hard point itself. Now they take the battle underground in towards the trenches. Spawns have already moved just a touch. King's working on it, holding his ground just outside maps. Zai trying to get there to join him, not going to be allowed to, and Elevate will stabilize and early flip the map for Elevate.
Yeah, this is a massive moment for them again. Always playing for the macro. Still plenty of time left to fight over here at 1. Great from the top down distance of being able to see how much of that smoke just covers, but it's only Elevate that are able to reap the benefits. But the problem is they pushed up a little bit too far forward. They've opened up the back B2 spawns.
This is those moments where you say you're actually killing too good.
Yeah.
We're running these guys so badly that we've already pushed them into the back spawn, and wouldn't you know it, as soon as they get the recognition that they lost spawns, they've cleaned that out as well. So Elevate are sticking it to Wolves here early, who are down and down bad, 40-0, with P2 coming up next, and Elevate already in control as PJ and Kendi put Wolves into a bit of a blender.
All right, the crossfire is immense. Kendi has full streaks. Predator missile also being called in by Yopi, because why the hell not? A hell of a start. The spawns flipped 4 times in total, and Elevate still maintain presence on the ruin side.
Unreal.
Bang.
Unreal start. Not good if you're a Wolves fan. Now you've got to try to fight up against Kendi with a war machine at the ready. And at least Wolves are making the right read. You smoke out the jump wall, you try to hit over towards Temple, but the problem is the war machine's there to meet you. Slowing it down a touch or Elevate, but they still are being tested. Wolves trying to still force their way on in. Nice jump over the wall to catch a couple, but Kendi turns his attention, finds the kill, and Elevate continued to keep Wolves on a goose egg.
And from the outside looking in, you're down to scrap time, 20 seconds before you got to rotate all the way across the map. You already have that side of the map, but I mean, Wolves are just throwing numbers all the way through the tunnel, and they're just getting blown to pieces. The bottom ruin spawn just opens, and now you're in an even worse position if you are Wolves, because you want to hit through the old time. It's just down to 5 freaking second shift, and Elevate have collected every hardpoint second available thus far.
Absolutely blanked. Oh, and the exit kill works out. So now Elevate, they very well may have this thing to 100-0. They've got operators at the ready. Wolves can't get to the P first, and now all of a sudden, Wolves are just trying to force something with this little play from King. That gets shut down. Elevate are perfect. Sparrow, Equalizer, Claw, all being set, and Wolves are being set into disarray.
Equalizer shut down by Clo. The immediate response from Susano from the Claw, but Yopi's very much so alive with the Sparrow, and then PJ dips into a Purifier, gets shut down, but Yopi with the Sparrow is the absolute truth. Predator missile to add insult to injury. 25 seconds to fight over here at 3, and Wolves finally get on the board, but it's a breadstick.
No, Yopi! Huge double out of Yopi. Just really feeling themselves now are Elevate, and Wolves are being dismantled. Oh my God. PJ around the back, not able to keep this thing at a convincing scoreline. Do you say that now that Wolves have earned 5 seconds? I don't feel like it's good to say.
No. There are many, many different steps, but we are very much so at square one for Wolves. I mean, a 2-for-5 kill feed trade is the most convincing kill feed that we've seen from Wolves this entire game so far. It goes even beyond the macro versus micro as Wolves are starting to dip their toes into their own resource department. Again, P4 is a very massive hill for Wolves to finally spawn on into this map number 4.
It's tough, man. This map can snowball in a major way. We haven't seen one quite like that in some time, though. As if Elevate were to say, took one of our respawns away from us, hurt my feelings. Elevate trying to really pack a punch here as the break attempt's on the way, but Wolves still holding on. Just comes down to can they finesse this last 25.
Nades galore all the way across the statue head. Good kill feed coming through from Elevate. Once again, 20 seconds left to fight over here on the first set of hardpoints comes to a conclusion, and it is a blistering pace that Elevate had set for themselves. PJ, 22 kills, 20 for Yopi. Everybody's just absolutely slaying, and Susano can just kick his feet up and just watch these longer lines of sight. But Wolves break back in. It's only for 5-second shift, and it's just not good enough.
And Kendi is transferring like he's playing on mouse and keyboard. He's snapping.
Yeah.
But this is how it happens for Wolves, little by little. You're not going to make up 100 points in the blink of an eye. Have to trust the process, and immediately that has to be about playing the macro of the map right here. Yopi try to hit a bit of a pinch around through P3. Clo right there with him. Traded out nicely, though, from Wolves. Now within the 100-point threshold, starting to look a little bit better. Can they get a tally onto Kendi deep? Yeah, they can. So hold on a second. Wolves starting to step back up just a touch. Elevate now with an opportunity to pop operators on this rotation, but Wolves are dominating around P1.
It took them a little while longer on the Hacienda map number 1 to realize their mistakes and try to rectify them a little bit too late, but that was when the lead was 60, not 100. But this is fantastic to see if you are a fan of Wolves Esports, as they are currently soaking up the majority of time on P1, keeping Elevate at bay and making sure that they hold on to the utmost important rotation of 2.
Nice Pred missile called in for a double. Elevate trying to stretch through cave side to P2. That's shut down. Uh-oh, here we go. Wolves back to within, just around double the points that Elevate were able to put together in the initial parts. The last couple of seconds, really pretty meaningless. It's all about what happens here on rotation to 2. Wolves are there first, plus they have spawns, and they've got a Gravity Vortex gun already aimed up towards this backside cave.
Just trying to shut it down before it can even happen. King's Gravity Vortex gun at least finds said value in the clock to follow things up with Zai.
Sparrow out deep over through cave side. That works out for the first. The push over towards the secret window. That will also work. And now there's a claw for Susano. Now try to push over. Seeing if they can get Wolves displaced from this spawn. PJ with the Purifier. Locking down the front door. Equalizer to a firm control. And PJ almost finishing things off. But Clo now knows where to turn his attention. And the spawns will flip with Elevate and control P2.
Yeah, good call there from Clo with the Equalizer. Just make sure you clean out everybody else in the back. And then you can shift your attention back towards the front. Might as well. Hunter Killer Drone to shroud yourself to move a little bit further forward, Elevate, maintain control once again.
Last 15 seconds here for Wolves. Have to control mid-map as Elevator already rotating out through the jump wall. Back to a 100-point gap. Time is running out for Wolves to put this comeback together. This has to be good, whatever it is. And it's not starting on the scrap time battle. Elevate able to win the last couple of seconds, and they've got members off spawn to get to P3 first.
It's just tough to really gauge. I mean, Zai only had 16 kills. I know he's not too far away from the rest of his teammates, but had a great map number 1. Is a little bit silent here. King's going to be able to at least find 2 in the response, but Kendi's right there because of course he is. Another good kill feed coming through from Elevate as they maintain presence on the hill from the back.
Shutdowns are decent. Wolves able to find 3 in a row. Peg setting up a bit of a pinch over towards the rafters. Good for 1. Off the reload, takes his attention towards the barrels. Good focus here from Wolves. Nice little team push coming through. That flips the spawns around. This is not where Elevate wants to be. Wolves do not have any operators to make this really hurt, but they can lock down this trench lane, and Ching nearly does it all himself. Elevate tagged up heavily. Neon trying to follow up on that damage to confirm these eliminations, but just a bitter eye. He just cannot lock in the shots. King trying to force it forward, but Yopi's got the Sparrow, and Elevate will break.
Yopi's Sparrow efficiency this entire map number 4 is something you can absolutely write home about. Grandma's going to post it on the refrigerator. Another kill to come all the way through for Yopi. It's 2-13 to 98, and Wolves are just not here to play.
Have to find some sort of a break through this. You got to get Chicken Coop control. You have to dominate P4. Elevate have the setup that they want. It's just down to finding the final kills to possibly send themselves into the semifinals on Sunday. Close double is good. Claws out from the front, and it's absolute pain. Throw it in towards the choke point. Kendi, a war machine behind it. Last 20 seconds needed. Wolves have to find a way to desperately get in.
They just gotta have to work this pinch all the way through Chicken Coop. 2 players strong, but of course it's being looked at. Neon comes through with a war machine, comes up absolutely dry. It just comes down to King, but PJ with the Purifier answers it back.
It has to be a play through cave side, and PJ is gonna melt everything in front of him. Elevate, the CDSI champions, 4-0ing Wolves back in China. Fast forward a week and a half. They're looking good to send them out of the tournament here at Worlds as PJ is lighting them up. Wolves still hanging on by just a breath. Susano from one side, the rest of Elevate from the other. Still time to work here if they want to try to put it away on 4. Otherwise, you can just get mid-map control and win it there.
You got to go new, but it might not matter. 2:42 counting all the way up. The last little bit of scrap time here at the second set of hard points is just going to be another nail in the coffin for Wolves.
Klo hanging out, can just step on in and find the final second. Wolves down to their last life. Can they find the kills they need? No, it's Yopi for the final double, and Elevate move on to Sunday.
Got it done at CDSI. It was 0-4. Come here to Atlanta for DreamHack 2024. You lost the control. You kind of angered them a little bit. It was a 100-point lead at the end of the first set of hard points. Was egregious of a scoreline, to say the least. But Elevate came to play. That much was obvious, even through the Swiss bracket. They are the real freaking deal. We asked about their consistency and what they look like on that main stage at CDSI. That has been a continuation ever since then.
Absolutely the case. Domination has been the name of the game for Elevate. Moments of concern, sure, still kind of hang around in the search and destroy leading up to this matchup, but that performance on Kurahara, I think, knocks all of those concerns out of the ballpark.
Sure does.
Yeah, you lose your first seaside control, but we're dealing with a 1v1.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just going to happen versus your defending world champs out of Wolves every now and again. But to come out and blank Wolves and have them at 115-0, mercy.
I mean, we had, I'm not even going to attempt to do the math, but just the slaying differential in between Elevate and Wolves was just so immense in this map number 4. But it also just gets accentuated by the conversation about the operator usage. Through every single Respawn map that was played in this best of 5 series, Elevate always had the edge against Wolves, which is crazy to say because that was the one thing benefiting them in Respawn this time last year.
Absolutely the case. Clean stuff from Elevate, knocking down China's number 3 seed. For Wolves, it's a year that is filled with just not being able to get over hurdles. Could not get over Q9, could not get over X-Rock, only beat them once between the 2 squads overall, and now a chance to go up against Garita's best. They fall in 0-2 form in overall series count versus the number 1 team out of Garena.
Elevate absolutely determined to show why they were undefeated out of our Swiss bracket, now coming through here in a dominant fashion to continue their way through, now in the semifinals, and they will be facing off against Gallerus tomorrow. This is going to be a very, very fun Sunday to kind of end this entire competition.
That's a saucy one because, again, just looking at how Elevate play both their hard points, it's only a single Odin in the picture. Everything else is full automatic rifles that they're trying to use for their long-range battles. So going up against Lucozid, the king of single tap, what does that look like in that battle?
Well, we're going to find out here tomorrow. Before we do that, though, it's time to close out the day, which means one more interview with one